Whoa, whoa. Are you telling everyone hi? Say hi, everyone. Welcome back to the podcast. Okay.
Matt and Becca. Gosh, did we lower this thing again?
This is almost the podcast setup we're looking for. We're still on our Bluetooth mics. This will be used soon. Ooh. This will be used soon. I don't know how I'm going to sit here, though, with this thing on my face.
You have to, raise it
But
up.
I would like a camera going from this way to this way, and then this way to this way. But you know what? We still do everything on an iPhone 11. On the No Regrets podcast, where we talk about fitness, we talk about community. Where did you go? We also talk about babies, gummy bears, and other things because it's all serious on here. Who knows where this is going to go, but
Babies, gummy bears,
that's what I came up with when I was looking at all of our old thumbnails. Welcome, team. It is season 2 of the No Regrets podcast. It's me, Becca. It's Dad, Matt. And Blitz is still hyped. He's playing ball all around the table.
We actually did one last week, and we had a complete meltdown of your camera or your phone.
It wasn't even just last week. First of all, I'm going to get up and check that this is recording. Make sure. No, it was just a combination of weeks and weeks of drama, technology failing, just next thing after the next. And I was like, you know what? That's actually a bullet point.
We sit here, we talk for an hour, and
we
record for 15 minutes.
We had a great conversation between ourselves that did not get caught on camera because it shut off 15 minutes in. All the more reason to get us some good cameras and not be worried about phone storage. But we should be good today. It's actually one of my bullet points on our conversation is just how life be silly in ways like that, where I just felt it was like thing after thing after thing after thing. And I was like, you know what? This chair has got to go. I can't sit down when we do these. I was like, you know what? It's going to get back on track, and we're going to appreciate it. That's how it be sometimes. First things first, if you're new to the podcast, because we have a lot more subscribers on everywhere, Instagram, YouTube, whatever else we do in here, welcome. Here's how the podcast usually rolls. We chat about things, life things, a lot of fitness things for however long that takes. And then we answer your questions. You guys leave me questions on Instagram when I ask for them, and you can also use my Instagram bio email, getthatfusednews@gmail.com, to ask me long-form questions. We're going to answer those towards the end of the podcast, and then we go on long tangents that are terribly, terribly long, but hopefully they help you guys. That's our biggest hope, or entertain you guys, or just give you more information about things.
More information about things.
Hopefully. Because I don't know.
We talk about affiliate life. We talk about coaching. We talk about fitness.
And hopefully people could do podcasts, I'm like, how qualified are you? How qualified are you to give information?
See, guys, I can never talk.
How qualified are you to give information?
She's punching me.
And then I give information,
are you?
and I'm not qualified to the...
You don't need qualification to talk.
That's true. This is my Reels video today, is how much hair I shed. I have to go shoot that next. Okay, so that's how the podcast works. We chat and then answer your questions and have a good time. Okay? How are you doing?
I can talk now?
Yes. How are you doing today?
Amazing.
Really?
Yeah.
Just because?
Just because.
All right. Cool. I'm doing good too.
If you're breathing, you're achieving.
Got a lot to be smiling for. We have been going through it the last few weeks just after the games, the 2024 CrossFit Games ended. And a lot of our last podcast was the majority of that, and we had some chats before that. Everybody had conversations, and we're kind of moving on from that and seeing what's next. And actually, one of the very first question that I got from Instagram was one I totally expected. They're like, hey, what are your plans for next season? And we'll get into that. But like I said before, it was just kind of like a few weeks of craziness, emotion. We had some really big highs, some really, really low lows. And it was just, and every time we get to like, I feel like I can almost breathe again. Like, that's just life for you. If you feel like life just be beating you up over and over, you're not alone, because everybody's in their own boat. Everyone's in their own situation. And I wrote something on here that is probably my biggest fear in life. You want to know what my biggest, or what, not my biggest fear, but what scares me about this crazy world that we're in, is that I think a lot of people don't do what they love. And I know me personally, I'm doing what I love every single day as far as this fitness world, this health world, this comedy, content, having fun all the time. And I know I have really hard days.
Yeah.
So I'm like, wait, if you ain't doing all that, your days must be really, really hard. So don't do that. Life's too short to not be doing what you love. But that being said, do you want to say something? You just
well, I just say
I'm sorry. I'm trying to get better.
No, like, yeah, I think that is a problem. People are already plugged into the Matrix.
I haven't seen that movie.
Because they spend 8 hours a day at a job they hate or that they don't like, but they feel they don't have the freedom to not do that because financially there's all of these ways that we get caught up in consumerism or debt, whether it be through our education or different things, and debt is a normal thing in our life. And ultimately, when you're in debt, in my opinion, you're kind of a slave because you can't do what you want to do. You have to pay that debt off. So
issues
that's what I'm saying. Like, in some ways, people are already, they go, yeah, that's why and then they try to, we find things to escape in on the weekends or when we're off work, whether it be games or football. I know fantasy football's about to come around. We have a big group of our gym doing that, and I know sometimes I get way too, I'm like, why do I do this? Like, I love it. It's fun. I love football. I love the sport. It's competitive in a way with some of my friends, but it's competitive here because we have loser penalties, which is the lowest score of the week has to draw a workout that a group of workouts we've pre-programmed and do the workout.
That's called Bolt Fantasy.
Yes, and send it to the group.
Fantasy.
But anyways, I'm going all over the place.
Yeah, see, look who's talking now.
But I was saying I'm guilty of it too because I get way too caught up in stupid stuff like fantasy football.
If you guys don't know, usually I'm the one that's just chatting and interrupting and everything. So I'm trying
I don't
to
even know what I was saying.
Go back and watch some of the episodes of season 1. You won't regret it because it's no regrets podcast. Anyway, but where I was going with that is, like, no joke, coming off of the 2024 just CrossFit Games, and I know it didn't matter where you were, whether you were a competitor or a volunteer or a fan of the sport, and you've just been immersed in that world that we love so very much and brings out so many emotions and everything. Like, it was such a hard, and it still is, like, everybody still has their own perspectives. It's still going on. It's still hard, and I just was very thankful that I had people to lean on, a place to lean on that I just absolutely love and trust the people that we're in, and especially if you guys are watching this and
all the people that came on Thursday.
All the people that came on Thursday, just that, and the family here we have at Bolt, like, I needed that so bad, and I was hoping, like, we could help so many other people that were feeling that way when everyone was in town, but also our folks here and everything. But it just got me thinking because I feel like I can finally get to breathing again, and I had a while where I just was kind of not powering through content, but just didn't feel like 100% me. And now I feel like we're slowly getting back into that, and it's really my fire to, like, make people laugh, make people be happy, and help people love on each other and see the beauty of being connected with people and getting to know people is kind of getting back there. And then I go on like the other side of it because my crazy brain likes to go on the other side of it, and it just, I don't know why I always joked about having a black heart, like coming out of like gymnastics and sports and everything. Actually, fun fact, I wanted to get like a little like black heart tattoo right here, and every time I bring that up, like you're like, you don't have a black heart, you can't do that. And it's just this place in this community and our family of both
I told you if you ever did that, you have to leave a little white spot for me because I know.
Well, that's true because you've changed. You've made me a better person. But my crazy brain goes to thinking on the other end. Like, yes, I have hard days too where, man, I feel like poop, feel unmotivated, don't want to do anything, don't want to do training. And then there's that athlete, like, discipline side of me of like, well, if you can do it when you're feeling like crap, it's going to be easy when you get to the other side of things. And like, that's what my voice sounds like in my head, like that voice. And then it gets me worrying about folks that are in places that are hard and that they don't want to be, or doing things that they don't love, and they come across those hard days. And that's where when I see a poopy comment on social media, I just assume you're in a poopy spot in life and you're having a poopy day. And I'm like, all is forgiven. But let's not do that anymore. So I get worried about people. You let me get my black heart tattoo? Not after that, now. But that's my crazy brain. So you're going to get to know a lot about Matt and I through the podcast if you're new here.
We did, just in relation to that a little bit, I want to give a shout out because I thought it was so well done, is the Buttery Bros.
Oh, the documentary.
Documentary on the games, and it'll give you the feels if you are. Yeah,
if you need to get caught up or kind of like know.
I don't know. I just thought it was such a good tribute. I loved it.
Well, it was good really to see the athletes.
They just it was well done.
And it was a great tribute to Lazar in a way that told the story of the games without taking away from how we need to get better and honoring him and how we're supposed to, I think, move forward from here. So it was great. So yeah, if you guys are just a little bit lost on like what I'm saying as far as the 2024 games, you can go check that out because it was quite a crazy time, and we're, as a family in CrossFit and just the fitness world and everything, we're trying to figure out how to be better. Don't laugh at me. Don't laugh at me. I'm an emotional person, and I'm just now getting my voice back because the stress of the last few weeks just like put my face into the dirt, and I got sick. And then this guy tells me I don't eat enough vitamin, take enough vitamin C or something,
or D.
Or, yeah. And then
I try to get you to take it all the time.
And then he's like, you see why you get sick? You see why? It's like, no, because I'm just like going work out and pouring out on my emotions.
No, it goes back to that same mindset
that
makes you
get sick less.
The same mindset that makes you really successful as an athlete and pushing through that. This is why I try to pull you back sometimes, because you can convince yourself to push yourself to getting sick or not resting or just not getting enough sleep, not getting enough recovery, being stressed too much.
This is
to
true.
Where you can't recover.
But I got too many things to do. What I'm trying to say is do what you love. Life is too short. Tomorrow's not guaranteed. As much as we all want to be, this is awesome, fun, happy rainbows. Like, life is too short. Love on your people. Okay, that's what I'm saying. Okay? And that's what brought us to here, bringing back the podcast. This setup is not finished. You see those? Those aren't supposed to be there. I don't know what else to put on the wall. This is going to be here. You're going to have a mic. But it's coming together. What I don't want to look like is newscasters, though. So that's why I'm kind of like angled towards you. Questions?
We can
Ready?
sit across from each other.
Do you want to say anything else?
Each have a camera on each one of us.
Are you going to win the Buffalo Wild Wings ring for me for fantasy football?
We'll see.
You brought it up. Dude, these guys get serious about the fantasy league, and then we're going to see people do some punishments around
We might have to order another one for the second league.
What?
Another ring. That's where we got your belt, that same company.
I know. They're going to have I expect you to come home with that ring. Or go to another home. Just kidding. I'm excited for you guys. Does anyone out there play fantasy with their gym members? And if you do, I bet there's some sort of gym smack talk, because that's definitely going to go around. I'm so looking forward to it. Only because I'm not doing punishments, I guess.
Hey, it's a great idea. It's created a lot of camaraderie. It's fun to talk about who's going to do the punishments, what they're going to draw.
I get concerned
and there's
because
just
your
like
phone is blowing up.
There's
like
wide-ranging workouts in there. So some of them are more like monostructural based, or people so you're hoping you draw the one you're good at, and some of them are more.
If you lose, there's a chance you get Karen, 150 wall balls for time. If you lose, there's a chance you ruck for 45 minutes. Those are some of the ones that I remember. Anyways, if you need gym community ideas and you play fantasy, there you go. Ask us about Bolt Fantasy, and we'll tell you how it rolls around here. But we're going to move on to questions. Are you ready?
All right.
I had someone get that fusnews@gmail.com to ask me this question. It was awesome. They were super sweet and very encouraging for all the content that I do. So let's get into this question because I want to help you out, girl. I would like your advice on two things. I'm a 26-year-old girl training 5 to 6 days a week. Most of it is CrossFit style with more emphasis on strength, exercises, weightlifting, conditioning, and running. And most of the time, I fall between L2 and L3. I don't know what that means, like level 1, level 2, level 3. I'm not really sure exactly what that is. But
so scaling.
Okay.
Whatever programming she's doing, there's probably level 1, level 2, level 3.
Okay. Lately, I've noticed myself getting stronger and more fit, but I still feel very stuck. Despite my general improvement, my back squat stays pretty much the same, and I have no idea how to improve that, and it makes me lose confidence. Another thing I struggle with is getting under the bar in snatches and overhead squats. I find power snatches easier, and I can't get myself to squat under the bar. I believe it's a combination of lack of confidence in the overhead position along with a mental barrier. What's your advice for overcoming that? I see other girls lifting heavy, and in my head, I know I could do it, but then I get in front of the bar, and I just can't. I find comparison so irrelevant and silly, but I guess I just want to show myself that I can do what I believe I can. You know what? This is like the best question we could ever start with for season 2 of the No Regrets podcast, because we answer things like from a literal term of how to get better at snatches, how to get better at overhead squats, how to get stronger. But then there's other like life things tied into this. Just like confidence, believing in yourself. What is the real issue going on here? Is it the fact that you can't overhead squat, or what are we prioritizing and everything? So this is such a great start. So going back to your first point of like you feel like you're clearly putting in the work, showing up 5 to 6 days a week. You clearly have a good understanding of what you're doing as far as like weightlifting, conditioning, running. You're like categorizing everything. And you said you're getting better and you're improving, but now sometimes you feel like you're stuck. So let's start there. Do you want to kick us off on that question? Or there was a lot?
No, it's a lot. I'm rereading it.
So lately I've noticed myself
there's so many
stronger.
different parts of this. It's kind of without seeing your training. Like obviously you're doing a lot. We talk about this all the time. More is not better. Better is better. And sometimes we get in this trap of this mental trap of volume, just doing more volume as opposed to intentionality behind our training, and how intentional I am with each piece can make a difference. So you might be working out a lot, but how intentional are you on the specific things? And it sounds like you have a specific goal that you really want to work towards, which is your squat strength and your squat kind of mobility, or your squat positioning, or your confidence in the bottom of a squat. And so, not that all those things you're doing might be great, But sometimes we can get caught up into doing so much that we're not doing anything with, we're check marking. I did this, instead of like really being intentional in your training. I don't know if that's the case with you, but we see that sometimes when people are doing a whole lot of volume, is they're not maybe hitting metcons with the intensity that they should, or different things because they're doing so much in a day. So I could say that could be partly it, but based on your kind of, it looks like I said, you have goals with squatting as your primary, or that's your primary frustration, is I would go, like, especially with snatches and overhead squats, is I'm almost positive that your issue is mobility limitation. I can't tell you what it is because I haven't seen you move, but that's probably what it is. And just doing more power snatches or squat snatches or overhead squats, that will help to some degree, but you need to be doing something specific to the mobility issue that you have. And it's going to be really boring, and doing it a couple times a week for probably like 3 to 4 months to see a difference. I would say the best resource I know on that is Squat University. They have so much stuff on YouTube and addressing especially weightlifting and squatting that you can go on there and probably pinpoint a couple of different exercises or mobility pieces to just start working on 2 to 3 times a week, and put as much emphasis on that as you are into your conditioning or some of the other stuff, and you'll probably see a difference. So that would be my, just the, I guess, specific way as a coach to address that based on that information.
Agreed. We always tell people it's not mind-blowing rocket science when, if you're scared to get under the bar in a squat snatch, well, one, have you gotten comfortable overhead squatting that weight? If you're not comfortable overhead squatting the weight or sitting under that weight in the bottom of an overhead squat, how can you expect yourself to dynamically put yourself there or fly under the bar?
Right.
So
we talked about that on Monday. We did front squats and overhead squats. It was your choice. And just really, when we addressed it to the class, I don't care about the weight. I care about your positions and being able to be comfortable with tension in a vertical spine at the bottom of either that overhead squat or that front squat, and trying to work in a way that allows you to get in that position, whether it be elevating your heels or going lighter so I can try to maintain that position, or those elbows taller, and work on not just squatting just barely 2 parallel, but getting deeper into your squat and feeling comfortable there.
So, I mean, getting to the first part of this question, and it doesn't seem like you're far off of it, but you hit it right on the money, is I can't tell you how many times I've told athletes, and nowadays, back in the day when, like, I feel like, and this is a whole another conversation for another day, is having the health and fitness side of CrossFit, the methodology, closer to the competition side. We used to get asked a lot, like, what is the difference between the good, just everyday athlete in the gym that comes in and trains CrossFit every day, and then the competitors that make it to semifinals in the games? And honestly, like, the athletes are getting so good, it's getting harder and harder to get to that level and everything. But I always said it's the intention of their training. It's they come in, and before they start the workout, I swear that's why I stand there for like 10 minutes holding the remote trying to get myself to press start. Because I'm just going through the workout over and over and over, and what do I want to hit out of this workout? Where do I want to put my focus? Even if it doesn't go perfectly right, like, where am I going to get better today? It's like having that intention or that one main focus, and other things will follow that main focus, but being like, no matter what happens, I'm going to prioritize this. No matter if I have to drop the weight down to an empty barbell, I'm going to prioritize this. And that's when you can find where your strengths, your weaknesses are at, where if you did that and you were successful at it, you're like, oh, maybe I can put my focus on somewhere else. Like, if I do this overhead squat and perfectly with this empty barbell, that means I can check mark that and move on to the next thing. Versus if I can't overhead squat with this with this empty barbell, I know that's my red flag, and I need to start assessing, like, is it my ankle mobility? Is it my hip mobility? Is it my shoulder positioning? Am I just super uncomfortable and all of that? So you just have to, like, there's so many factors that play into the Olympic lifts, getting stronger, health and fitness, and that's what I love about all of this, is that there's so many factors that you just have to focus on one and be like, can I check mark this? Can I check mark my ankle mobility? Can I check mark that I can do an air squat? If I can't do an air squat correctly, why should I expect my heavy back squat or overhead squat to feel good? So it's just dialing it in that way. And that's where, like, I've gotten so passionate and geeky about everything that we do in here. I love it. I want to teach people to be that way. And when people feel stuck just in general, I'm like, yay, we get to pick it apart now. We get to pick it apart. And that's where less volume, not necessarily less volume, but more just intention. If you're just going through your to-do list, check marking everything, what did you learn from it? Versus, like, maybe even if you have to scrap one thing, so it gave you more time to work on this.
I won't say this is the difference between, like, successful semifinalists, or I would say it's just the difference between successful athletes and non-athletes.
I forgot to get back
because
to that
there's
one.
other people that are wanting to train for semifinals that I see doing those same things that you're saying. They're just doing a lot of volume and check marking, but they're not always intention behind what they're doing, or they're just seeing it as like, oh, I'm weak at this, so I'm just going to do 1,000 reps of it, but they're not addressing underlying factors of why they might be weak at it. So I would just say smart athletes or progressing athletes, and that's, you know, there's so many different ways to skin a cat, right? But there's different ways to approach a problem, but having a plan, and even like going into, we talk about this all the time when we do time caps or different stuff in the workout. It's okay if you miss the mark. The reason why, it's okay if you miss the mark. The point is you have a mark. So then you know,
you have something to work
so then
off
you
of.
know, like, oh, I need to do this next time, or I did this, or I could do a little bit more like that. Once you give yourself that mark, then you can learn and grow, and your training can develop. If you never have a mark, then you're just kind of exercising, you're sweating. That's not bad either some days. There's some days, I'm probably gonna do that today, just go get on the bike and just move my body some and sweat. So,
you know what
but I think that's kind of the thing, is having that mark or that objective. Like, what is your focus for the day?
You know what I love to do?
Take 6 weeks, figure out what your limitation is in your squats, and write yourself a checklist of 3 times a week you're gonna do your ankle mobility, or you're gonna work your T-spine mobility, or whatever it is.
I hate that sometimes I have to get to, like, a breaking point to, like, find what those limitations are. Sometimes I'm just, like, so frustrated that my snatch isn't feeling good, and it's just like over and over and over, week after week, and I'm just like, fine, what is it that I have to go back on? Do I have to do more ankle mobility? And that's actually what I'm working on right now. It's just like, of course I can keep getting stronger, but I see some imbalances and things that are gonna make that, oh, I want to get stronger and I just want to power through this easier if I go clean up the foundation and everything. But last thing I'll say about this is, one of my favorite things to do as a coach that I hope my athletes start doing, and maybe it's just because I want them to suffer in their heads as much as I suffer in my heads with my crazy brain. You have no idea where I'm going with this, but it's actually productive. If we're lifting in class and I see a funky lift, I'll go up to them, I'll be like, hey, what did you feel? And half the time in there, just because, I mean, people don't have as many reps of, like, say, Olympic lifting or whatever skill we're working, they'll go, I don't know, waiting for me to tell them, even though I probably knew what I saw. I'm like, hey, what did you feel? Was it good? Was it bad? We simplify it. Where did the bar land? Did it land forward? Did it land backwards? What did you feel? And then once we get past the, I don't know, if you can't, like, assess, like, I don't know what I felt, maybe we didn't put the intention into that lift as much as we could. And I hope on the next lift you focus on, I felt the bar go forward, so what is something I can change to make that bar sit a little bit further back? And then once we start thinking like that, then we start gaining little pieces of information where yes, we don't want to think about 5,000 things when we lift, but you can put your focus and your intention on one specific thing and make that better, more consistent. So I like to challenge some athletes. And if you know you're a crazy lifter or have some crazy lifting days, I have them too. I just go back to, after every lift, I ask, what did I feel? What happened? And then as a coach, I go back and assess, like, what causes that? How can I fix that? So that's where I get really caught up in coaching and being an athlete. And I'm like, I will talk to athletes the same way I like to talk myself through my head. So intention is the number one word, but don't be afraid to take that extra time to, like, sit in the bottom of an air squat, sit in the bottom of an overhead squat, gain confidence and more knowledge about how your body moves and what you can improve on, because the two questions you ask, they kind of go together. And when you have confidence in all of that,
you need to address the second part of this question, because I think that's a huge part of it too.
Oh, what part?
Just the kind of the
overthinking.
The mental side of seeing other people lifting, and it gets in my head.
Oh yeah, there's like a whole third part. I see other girls lifting heavy, and I know I could too, but then I get in front of the barbell and I just can't. Hey, overthinker, I love you. I'm right there with you.
I would say a couple things to that. First one is, just from the way you worded that, and this is just a learning thing, is I just can't. What is the story you're telling yourself every time you lift or snatch, or you're lifting next to people lifting more than you? If people are lifting more than you, you're automatically getting in this mindset of like, why can they do it and I can't?
Did your mama ever tell you can't's a bad word? That's my
mama. I would be like, your whole approach to how you speak to yourself and is going to make you successful or not successful in a lot of ways. So, it's not necessarily, your mind is a very powerful thing, and just saying you can't, or going into a mindset of like, oh, I'm snatching and I hate overhead squats or whatever it is, stop. That can set you up for a terrible lifting day as is. And then if you're worried about what other people are doing, you just got to be focused on what am I doing to get there. And then reps help build confidence. Quality reps help build confidence.
Good reps.
If you're always trying to max out, and you do a lifting session where you try to max out and you miss 18 times, you're not building any confidence. You need to be working at lighter percentages where you are moving well.
Who are you talking to
going
now?
Through the range of motion, and you can build confidence by making lifts, and like not just making lifts, but making pretty lifts. You need to work in that time, in that percentage, wherever that is for you, so you can build confidence. And then we say this all the time, because you see people play the comparison game, and they see people like climbing a rope or on the rings doing muscle ups, and they're like, I just want to do that. Well, that person did, you have to respect the reps that person did to get there. So sometimes we want to get there and skip all the steps, but that person's been at the gym for 8 years, and it took them 4 years to get to that muscle up position. Or you were a competitive gymnast that was basically working 35 to 40 hours a week, learning how to control your body. There are so many reps that you've done that others of us haven't done. So we can't expect just immediately be able to, gymnastics to come as easy to us. I see it so much too, because we have a wide group of athletes here. You just see people that are naturally very mobile, or maybe they come from a culture where they just aren't sitting in a chair at a desk all the time, and they're just naturally mobile people. And then some other people, we've gotten stiff, we haven't moved, we haven't done functional things for the last 30 years of our life. It's going to take time to get our body back to getting that ankle mobility or that overhead mobility or different things, just because we haven't gotten in those positions. So that's the other thing I would be is like, or not push back, but just change your mindset and how you talk about it. But then also just like, hey, I just got to do the reps. And I know if I keep doing the reps, whether it be mobility reps or
do good reps,
that I can get to that point and lift like those other people.
So all of these 3 points in this question of I want to get a stronger squat. I want to build confidence getting under the bar on a snatch. And I want to not play the comparison games. All came back to train with intention and do good reps. You always tell me that.
And thank you. That's a good, I like the way she said that too. Like, we all play the comparison game where we try at some level. And we're
I
all,
love that she found it. The comparison game is irrelevant and silly.
Yeah, we all know it. Yeah. And it's just like we have to battle it in different ways in different parts of life, and realize when it's maybe productive to help motivate me and when it's not being productive. Yeah.
Well, thank you for your question. I hope that helps you. That was a long response, but I really do hope that it helps you and you keep putting in good reps and see that and own that progress that you're going to make. Because if you're doing all of that, you're going to make the progress that is meant to be made. So it takes time and it takes a lot of patience too. All right, we're going to move on to some other questions. We're going to answer them a little bit faster and just what's upcoming for us and just what you guys might see while us doing around this town. What's your plan for the upcoming CrossFit season? I plan on competing. And here's the thing. We don't know what CrossFit looks like at the moment, what the season's going to look like. We have gotten no word about the 2025 season. So I've always just trained to compete in a way that I just love to compete, and I want to take advantage of these years that I have to compete and have fun with it. And if something makes it not fun or makes it not align with my goals as a human being and the values that I have, then we move on to something else. But we were talking yesterday about, we were watching the Netflix NFL Receivers, and I was like, man, I wish I would have known you in your competitive football days, because I'm sure, I mean, you're way more, like, not more competitive than me, but you're like you compete at board games and everything. So that's and it scares me sometimes. But I said, well, if in the later years, I think I want to always be competing because I just love to compete. There we can take up professional darts or something that's a little bit less physical. But I do plan on competing. And speaking of that, there was another question on here that was, why don't I take on the Crash Crucible with JR? And I did get invited to that. We cannot make it out there because we are doing one of our big community events, and I'm taking care of kind of a funky shoulder. So if there was one competition that I really, really wanted to sign up for, it would have been that one, because I do, just from the little bit that I've seen from JR, he seems like a great programmer, affiliate owner, athlete, like living a similar life that we do. So I hope to compete in that one. That one was, when I got that text, I told you, I was like, let's go do it. And then it just didn't line up with the kind of the short turnaround and everything. But that's what was a possibility, but I don't know what's going to happen in this off season. We've got a lot of things planned at the gym right now here at Bolt, and we're just going to kind of play it by ear. But I was kind of already feeling like that itch to compete, so I hope we can get a good plan together leading up to whatever happens next. Can we get this? We're gonna save that question. People.
We could do I'll do a podcast on that.
People after this week, especially at Bolt. You know what the best part about being really I do the class programming for the majority of the year, but really being in this off season, in with all the classes and everything, is I get to gang up on you with all of those guys in here. This week was rough. And one of our members is asking, can we get a glimpse into how Matt comes up with the programming, because this week was rough. So we're gonna save that one for its own podcast, because I know you'll go off on, I want to see your crazy brain with it's like that lady in the meme of all the letters and formulas floating around her head. That's
lady?
You. It's a meme.
Yeah, it's there's a guy.
Or the dramatic chipmunk with all the... Anyways.
I was thinking the beautiful...
Yeah, it's that. Okay, so this is the podcast in a nutshell. We do all of that talking, and then someone asks, if you were a fruit, which one would you be? None. I would be dead before I'd be a fruit. I hate fruit. None.
Still the strangest thing about you.
What fruit do you think I would be? The most fake as fruit. A blue raspberry, because you know what? They don't exist, because I don't want to be a fruit. And that's my favorite, like, weird flavor of things.
But you like blue raspberry flavor.
Yes, but blue raspberries don't exist. They're a fake fruit. None, because I hate fruit. Get out of here. You would be...
I love fruit.
You would be... Oh, I always call you my blueberry muffin. Because your eyes are blue, they look like blueberries, and you're white. Your hair kind of looks like a muffin. Okay.
I guess that's good.
I think, for real, like, if you had to be a fruit and a fruit alone...
I mean, I would say...
Blueberry.
For me, just because I love it so much. I don't know why, but watermelon.
Why? Just because you love it. But you don't resemble a watermelon. You're not
What is it?
Big, round, and rotund and red.
I don't know.
Blueberry. For you. And you eat way too many blueberries. It's unhealthy for you.
Did you see that one that you look like Bjork?
Oh, yeah. I didn't know who that was. And I looked it up.
She was like a singer from Iceland or something.
Someone kept telling me I look like Bjork. And I did look it up, and I was like, I hope this person's not ugly. That'd be offensive. But then they're not. She's really pretty.
The reason why I thought that was funny when I just saw it, because she was famous for wearing like crazy stuff, like a.
Oh gosh! Oh my gosh!
Stuff
I need
that
to bring.
Looked like a goose. She had like a dress that looked like a goose. Oh yeah, that duck dress. I was like, yeah, that's something Rebecca would.
What? I would totally wear that.
Yeah.
Okay.
You have to clip that in.
We're gonna research.
So
this.
when I saw that, I just thought that was funny because I was like, that's the type of thing Rebecca would show up to an award show.
What else is she? She's Icelandic?
I think she's Icelandic, yeah.
There's got to be something else. She's not Asian. I'm a quarter Japanese. So that's why. She's pretty. Well, thank you. Like, I think she's pretty. I was scared to look that one up. I didn't know if it was a compliment or an insult, but that's cool. I will do my research on that. Okay, and last thing you need to know about the podcast is Coach Jen from CrossFit Bolt always gives us a funky question to answer at the end of each podcast, and this one's a good one. So Coach Jen's question of the week, we used to have kazoos. Blitz hated the kazoos. If someone gave you a box of all the things you've lost in your life, what would you be the most excited to find?
Blitz just farted on cue when you said his name.
Do you need me to repeat the question? Because we need to wrap this thing up. If someone gave you a box of all the things you've lost in your life, I can tell you straight up, at this moment, our birth certificates. That's it. They're gone. I lost them. I put them somewhere.
That's just because you're mad at yourself.
Yeah, because I lost them. I'm a very organized person. I lost them. That's my answer. I don't have anything else to say about that.
What if I lost in my life? My ACLs? If I could get my ACLs back, I would appreciate that. That's my answer.
And on that note, that's the end of this podcast. Thank you, Jen, that was a great question. All right, we'll be around each week to chat with you guys and talk about more silly things. You guys keep up with us on Instagram, YouTube. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and I'll see you guys later. Peace out.
Bye, guys.